It's now 6:49 in South Bend. Mayor Pete Buttigieg is kind enough to join us in the studio this morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get right to it. One of the issues that's been floating around the last couple of days, in fact, you got involved in this email chain, this massive chain, because of the I Can't Breathe versus the Breathe Easy t-shirts. One of the council members, Henry Davis Jr., and some others sent out a letter about those t-shirts and about asking the city not to have businesses specifically within the city to sell those t-shirts. You got involved. It's a big controversy. What specifically is going on with all this bickering? How are we going to bring that to an end? And what do you think it's doing to the city's reputation?
Well, I think in order to address this, we have to recognize that this is not about t-shirts. This is about much deeper underlying issues, and we're not going to move forward unless we take those issues seriously. What strikes me is that there are groups of people concerned about two different issues. They're being portrayed like they're on two different sides, but they're not even talking about the same thing. We're talking about two different things, and one of those is the way that race is playing a role in our criminal justice system. And the other is about the safety of police officers who go out there every day and risk their lives. And I fear that we're being led down this path that you have to choose between being pro-minority, pro-equal rights, and being pro-police. I believe it's not only possible, but fundamentally necessary for everybody in our community to feel that they are pro-minority and pro-police. And we've got to move in that direction, and we've got to do it together.
Mayor Pete, what is the state of race relations in South Bend?
Look, this is a concern nationally, and South Bend doesn't get a pass. We're not an exception. There are a lot of issues. They go back to a many centuries long history of tension. But what I will say is that in South Bend, we're being proactive and we're coming together around this. To me, actually the most important law enforcement story in the city is what happened Tuesday night when we had a call in where you had everybody from prosecutors to pastors, black and white, intervening directly, communicating with members of these gangs and groups on why the violence has to stop and what we're going to do to make it stop and how we're going to help people ready to change. Since we kicked off that program, we've seen more than a 40% reduction in shooting victims. That's what community policing looks like. And that, I believe, is the future of race relations in our city.
We have very little time left. I wanted to ask you about body cameras. That's also a central argument around this whole issue. It's a question of not rather if, but when. Do you have any concerns besides money and technology? Do you have any concerns about officers wearing body cameras?
There are a lot of concerns. There are a lot of issues to work through, legal issues, privacy issues, but this is also something we have to take seriously, and we are, and we're looking into it. But again, this isn't about technology any more than it's about t-shirts. This is about us. This is about our values. This is about our community, and we've got to do this together, and those of us in elected leadership have to ask ourselves, of everything we're doing, is this going to drive people apart? Or is it going to pull us together?
All right. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, thanks very much for joining us. Merry Christmas. Thanks for being here. Carrie?